Issa helps him understand that, yeah, he's not the monster that he's always thought he was. That's when he has a major existential breakdown. Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this brand new day. Yay! It is good to metabolize. I am still metabolizing. Hopefully you are still metabolizing. If you're watching this, that would definitely be a good thing. It is a sunny day outside, but it was so cold last night. So we're finally at least entering partly into fall. That's a good thing. Definitely a thumbs up on that. I slept not great. It was after midnight when I got to bed, and by 5 o'clock I was awake from discomfort and pain. I don't move when I sleep, so it hurts. And I sleep on a foam mattress, but it still just hurts, so thumbs up. And of course, front-loading of videos. Hey, if you could toss me a like, that'd be very cool. If you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, even as something like for the algorithm, that'd be double plus good. And I'd like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons, these literally beautiful and literally awesome people, who are in fact literally beautiful and literally awesome, helping to keep me and my pets alive, and that is very, very appreciated. If you would like to be one of these beautiful and awesome people that are helping to keep me and my pets alive, that would be very cool, and I have links in the video description. And if you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, there are links to my PayPal for donations. If you don't want to send money, there's an Amazon wish list link with stuff like cat food, and I have a post office box where you can send me anything at all. I'll open it up on camera. Thumbs up for that. Hey, front loading of videos over. Little Ghost. I am amazed, and I don't know. He's doing a lot better than he has been. He can breathe better. He is not breathing as hard. He's not sneezing as much. He's not puffing and trying to get breath in. At the same time, he is sleeping right now, and he's breathing through his mouth, which rodents don't do unless they can't breathe through their nose. So he's still stuffed up to at least some degree, but he is able to breathe through his nose while he's nosing around and doing stuff. So that's good. And last night he was pretty active. Yeah, not always. He's still slower. He's still a little clumsy because he's not getting a ton of air, but he's doing a lot better than he has been. So if he does have a cold, it might not have turned into pneumonia. And if it has, it looks like he's getting better. So thumbs up for that. I mean, he's not nearly out of the woods, so let's hope he does get better. Thumbs up for that. I mean, he's already an older hamster. He's just not thin and bony yet. They don't live long, and most of my hamsters have only lived like a year and a half. If they hit 2 years, we're doing good. So, thumbs up. And just yesterday, I did not a whole lot. I played some video games. I watched videos. I went for an earlier walkies than normal, and then came back and just watched videos and relaxed and played games. I did as much creative thinking as I could while I was out walking, but it was just a slower day. I managed to get some calls that I needed done, so that's a good thing. Definitely a thumbs up. I mean, they weren't major, but at least they were something. So it wasn't a total nothing got done day, and that's a good thing. Definitely. Oy vey. But past that, it's just been time. I've been trying to think as best I can. I mean, I'm adjusting to all of my meds again. I mean, I've been on and off with Ritalin on top of the Wellbutrin extended release, getting used to that. So med changes and getting older, and like my sign says, you know, October 26th, I'm going to turn 60, and holy smokes, I can remember being young. I mean, good golly, Miss Molly, I don't remember a lot of my youth, but I do remember some. Like, I remember being 15 years old, standing in line at a theater in Bellingham, Washington, in a theater but when I left in 2002, the theater had been torn down ages ago. But in 1977, 15 years old, waiting to see Star Wars. And that was cool. And I remember going into the Air Force and sitting in the theater and watching the first Star Trek, the motion picture, when I was just a time I had from tech school. So I remember some stuff that when I was younger, I remember looking at the calendar, being very, very young, and going, gosh, if I'm going to live to the year 2000, I'm going to have to be very careful. And then, of course, with my alcoholism, I did my very, very best to, unalive myself as quickly as I could through drink. But luckily, in the year 2000, I crashed and burned and went to rehab, and I've been sober since then. Ow, my muscles went snappity-pop in my neck. I am human. I have fallen periodically, but the shame is not in falling. The shame is in not getting back up. And I have always gotten back up. I've never drank for long. It's always been like, oh God, what am I doing? And then back up and running again. So, hey, thumbs up for that. It is a good thing. I can't even remember where I was going with that. Boy, I love ADHD. So I've been walking, being as creative, as healthy as I can as well. And in some ways, I am exercise-wise and all that in better health than I have been since I was very young. I mean, I weigh as much now as I did when I was in the Air Force. In fact, I weigh less because I was always pushing 206 when I was in the Air Force. And I'm around 190 right now. I've been up over 300 pounds after my wife died, and that was awful. So I'm glad that I've kept the weight off, but I go out for walkies and I carry stuff on my back and I power up hills at 4 miles an hour now, carrying 20 pounds of stuff on my back. It's a good thing. I'm glad to be healthy, and at the same time, oh boy, because all sorts of people with access to money and healthcare die before they're even 70. I don't have access to money, and I have access to limited healthcare. So, turning 60 and looking at that is, I see myself racing at a cliff pretty quickly here, where I'm going, Roo! And oh boy, especially since there's still been all these other people that, they lived to 70, but they're dying at 71 and 72. And again, remember, these are people with access to money and health care that are dying before they're 74. That's nice to know that you're racing toward that cliff wall of death, and you've got maybe 10 years left? If I'm lucky, don't get hit by a bus. So I laugh about that, but it's actually awful at the same time, because people do die from being hit by buses. And in the 80s, when I was in the Air Force, there was this one Austrian singer, I believe, Falco, German, Austrian, I cannot remember the exact nationality, and I feel bad about that. But after he'd achieved fame, while he was still young, he was on vacation in the Dominican Republic, and while out driving, hit by a bus and died. So you can get hit by a bus at any time. It's funny, but it's also not funny. And if you remember, I talked about anti-humor the other day, where one of the types of anti-humor that I like is the more not funny something is because it's horrible, like somebody being hit by a bus and dying, is funny because it's not funny. Not just him, being killed by a bus. That part isn't funny. The context of you can be hit by a bus at any time. Look what happened to this guy, and then you can laugh at the grim gallows humor of it, as well as its anti-humor, funny because it's not funny. So thumbs up on that. Now, I do want to talk about some of the creative stuff because I have been thinking a lot about this one. I do want to talk, I mentioned really quick the Cliff's Notes versions on the doppelganger Henrik Ibdn yesterday. I want to talk more about this character because I want to talk more about some of the characters that I come up with. And Henrik, the whole project has with the kaiju rampaging and killing and eating and destroying in this town. Henrik Ibdn and Issa Ibdn are on their house watching this rampage happen. They watched the kaiju tear open their neighbor's house, drag out all of their neighbors, and eat them. And it comes walking toward them, stops at their house, and they have a stare down, expecting to be eaten, and the kaiju turns and walks. It's full, and it likes to terrorize. So Henrik and Issa are left alive after the thing being right there breathing at them. And then it turns and leaves after eating 12,000 plus people. So he's there and present at the very beginning, but he's the doppelganger. And the thing was, when he was before he was 80 years old, he was a typical monster doppelganger. He only has to eat himself genetically about 3 human beings per year, otherwise he will starve. So he does that. Before he turned 80, he was a typical monster. He overindulged. It wasn't 3, it was sometimes in the 10s. But once he hit 80, he'd already been slowly walking toward this, but it seemed wrong to do this. It wasn't a right thing to do. And as he matured more, he stopped overindulging. And then at about age 100, 120, he got into Apple Rock. And by that time, he'd been Henrik for some time. And when he showed up there, he arrived looking in his 40s. Now, doppelgangers of his type live for a couple hundred years. He can look however he would like, but he's been Henrik Ibdn for not. Ibdn is Issa's last name. Henrik took her last name. His last name before that is unimportant. So he was his Henrik something or other. And then he moved to Apple Rock, whereupon he was also being affected by all the waste compound gases given off by the kaiju, who has been able to tweak its digestion so that the waste product of all the human beings that it eats is just this colorless, odorless gas that breaks down slowly when you breathe it, and it affects you cognitively, and it rewards you for certain thoughts. You get extra dopamine and serotonin, and you just get a huge feeling of community and wanting to be with everyone, and you're not going to be moved. This is your home. You're going to rebuild. It's really cruel. All of the people are just drugged to the gills, and they think this is all their, I've made this decision. But they're making these decisions because they're being manipulated by the kaiju with this gas. To the point that some people, even thinking of leaving Apple Rock, have panic attacks. Oh my God. Others, when they do leave Apple Rock, because they're not getting the gas in their systems anymore, their reward system shut down to survival level. They don't make oxytocin except what you need to leave. They don't make prolactin except for what you need to survive. And 2 of these things, those especially, help you bond with other people. And you have only as much serotonin as you need to live, only as much dopamine as you need to live. The world is cold, hard, the people unyielding and stone. It's terrible out there. So you go back to Apple Rock, you don't know, you're being flooded with the compound, and oh, everything just feels right again. These people are your family. You are home. And Henrik is affected by all these things. 5 years after he arrives, he begins to, well, he's been falling in infatuation and in love with Issa. And after that time, they become partners. Now, he wants to tell her that he's a doppelganger. because he wants to be honest about this, but she already knows. But she knows he's not a monster. She would not have fallen in love with a monster. He does not believe her because the common thoughts about doppelgangers is doppelgangers wear a mask of humanity for the monster to hide behind. Henrik has internalized this in a negative fashion. When the kaiju rampages, yes, he's like, I am a monster. How come I don't feel good that this monster went and did this? He's feeling anger and hatred toward this thing because of what it did to his friends, his acquaintances, his community, the people that he lives with. How dare that monster destroy their community? And he doesn't understand why it would be. Issa helps him understand that, yeah, he's not the monster that he's always thought he was. That's when he has a major existential breakdown. Because if he's a man, if he's not a monster, he still has to eat human beings to live. Just like the kaiju's doing. So he must be no better than the kaiju. He is a monster. This is leading him down a very dark path. Issa has to work with him using changing the narrative and narrative therapy to rewrite the story inside of his head. It doesn't change the facts, but it changes the story into something you can live with, and it also reveals truth. He understands that the mask of humanity is not something that the monster has been hiding behind. Indeed, yes, he has been chipping away at the monster for all of that time, since he turned 80 until even this day. He has been chipping away the monster, and what is left is his humanity. And he understands that, finally, and it saves him, and it really integrates him into the community. Because, as I'd said yesterday, he comes to the understanding that, yes, he is not a human being. Yes, he can't get rid of all the monster. He still has to eat human beings 3 times a year, or he will starve and die. So he has to feed the monster. But every other bit of the monster has been chipped away and gone. It is not a mask to hide behind. It is his humanity. He is not a human being, but he is a man, and he is proud of that. He is happy. And that is one of the good redemption arcs on this whole, the kaiju destroys things, but it shows how life lives and continues, and people go on even in the face of terrible adversity. So thumbs up on that. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And even though I count in American Sign Language, you've already seen how this brain works. I had strange input lag on my fingers there. I would have thought they would have worked together, but they didn't. We have Jesse Koskinen, There Will Always Be More Doom. I mean, my goodness, I love that game. It's awesome and very good to see you in the comments. Unbearable Suffering, thumbs up, thank you very, very much, and I enjoy playing those games quite a bit as well. JAYY, thumbs up, thank you, and Ghost he's still hanging in there, so thumbs up, and good to see you as well. DAYZ, Mistaken Swags, with another Z. Thumbs up, thank you very, very much. Sebastian Ferris, goodness gracious, always good to see you in the comments. Thumbs up and thank you. We have 6. Floramu, thumbs up, thank you very much. Good to see you in the comments, a very good thing. There is Chris, greatly appreciated. Good to see you in the comments. Holy smokes, I can't believe I forgot how to count. There is Vortex, greatly appreciated. Thumbs up and thank you. RJ Mitchell, greatly appreciated. And hopefully the greater story of Henrik and what he's going through makes more sense today. That doesn't make any sense, but hopefully you understood what I meant. And then we have Ben B. Good to see you in the comments as well. There is Slick O Nick, thumbs up and thank you. Terry Mazik, I guess. Thumbs up, thank you all. We have 12 people. Oh, this finger, this poor finger. Ah! It hurts so much. Hopefully it's not bone cancer. Anyway, though, thank you all. Greatly appreciate it. Each and every one of you get me out of my head, into the world, and dealing with real people. And thank you if you have watched or listened to this video up to this point. The vast bulk of people on every video, not just mine, click off before 3 minutes pass by. Even on very popular YouTubers, that is still true. So if you have watched here to this point, you have watched because you wanted to. Thumbs up, thank you, greatly, greatly appreciated. And of course, I'm going to try and get some stuff done today. I'm going to try and not let little Ghost here impact my mood too poorly, since he seems to be getting better. And I have just been devastated this entire week, unable to really concentrate because he's been so sick. Yeah, it seems kind of silly to get that all bent up about a hamster, but pets are family members. And while I'm out of sight, out of mind, he's right here. He's never out of sight, never out of mind. So joy. And of course, with everything happening in the world, please just take appropriate precautions, appropriate care, not just diseases, everything. Please, the world is a scary, scary place right now, with so many countries embracing fascism and falling into authoritarianism. Be careful. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.